This video is going to be breaking down the Olvera structure. So that means in page 4 of your packet, you have a blank page, and that's the Olvera packet. You have a blank page, which in other packets has been done more for you. So the way I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to be using a Word document to write it out and show the different relationships between the different types of information. But you can sketch this out on your paper, but I'm using a Word document since I have the screen capture device to use. So I think one of the best ways to approach this is going to be looking at the previous instances when you've done an activity like this and see what structure is used there. So I'm going to say that, and so first look at, you're going to look at previous examples of this activity. The other example or the other piece of advice I have for you is to annotate. Actually, even before that, what I want to say is look at the questions. So that means look at the Olvera questions, because the way those questions are grouped is going to give you some insight into some of the main ideas, some of the key categories. You can also look at your the say and do chart that you made. So you can look at the questions, the say and do chart, and see what themes emerge. What are the kind of principal ideas that you've come up with? Also, after you've gotten some idea of structure from the questions and everything, I'm going to say read the article and annotate. Annotate. So that means make some notes about the main ideas, the main points, just give you a few words and things like that to help kind of organize and structure what you're thinking and your ideas. And so that way you can think about what are the main arguments. So those are my tips for how to do this activity. 1, look at the previous examples of this activity. 2, look at the Olvera questions and the say and do chart. And then 3, annotate the article. So let's go ahead and look at the previous examples of this activity and see what we can learn from those. So I have those open. So we have the first one I'm looking at is the Olvera one, which doesn't tell us much because it's just the blank page. If we look at Wagner, what we have is the introduction and then also the claim and then some blank space for ideas and then the conclusion. So as well as the call to action and comparisons. So we'll see what emerges in the other iterations of this activity. Let's look at hook. So we can see there's an introduction and then a claim, the main claim or thesis, and then the middle part are a bunch of series of ideas, and then the last part is the conclusion. So we can see that there's some similarity to Wagner's in that we start with an introduction, then we got a claim, then a bunch of arguments and ideas, and then the final piece is the conclusion. And if we look at Matlin, we've got, again, an introduction, we've got a claim, we've got all the arguments, and then the final part is going to be the conclusion. So even though Wagner's piece had the call to action, the comparisons, we don't see that in the other activities. So I'm going to go ahead and leave those out of this part. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go back to my Word document and I'm going to structure it so that I have an introduction. I have an introduction and then I have a main claim. And I'm just going to look real quick and see how they, okay, so let's go ahead and I just looked really quickly at some of the other ideas and see if there was like a heading for where they put the where they put the other parts, like the ideas. So I've got in my Word document, I have a bullet point for introduction, and then a bullet point for main claim. And then I'm going to make another bullet point, and these are all at the same level, for the argument structure. So these are going to be the ideas that support the main claim. So every time we're making a main claim, one thing that we have to be looking out for is making sure that, or sorry, every time we're putting down an idea, we have to make sure that the idea links back to the main claim, whatever we figure that out as. And it may be a process where we go back and forth, because right now I think after reading the article, we know the idea that Olvera supports aid in dying. And I think, we have that. That's good. That's a good place to start. I think that we need to, as we make some of our arguments, as we learn about some of our ideas, as those get fleshed out, what we're going to do is, I think, come up with a more substantial main claim. So we've got our 3 bullet points: introduction, below, and then main claim, which right now at this point is Olvera supports aid in dying. And then the one below that is argument structure. And then I indented to make idea number 1, and then enter and indent again for the evidence. And then there's going to be more than one idea. So what I'm going to do is go back one, so that idea 1 and idea 2 are the same level of ideas, and idea number 2, and it's unclear at this point how many ideas we're going to have, but we're going to be doing some analysis of the questions, of the say and do chart, and then also annotating the article to get some thoughts about what might be the argument structure, what are going to be the main these ideas that support Olvera's claim that aid in dying is a good thing. So those will be coming up in the next video. For now, we've got our basic outline, where there's 4 main bullet points: the introduction, the main claim, the argument structure, and the conclusion. And then underneath the argument structure, indented there, we're going to be putting our ideas and then our evidence that supports each idea. So we've got a good start. We'll come back and finish up with our argument structure.